But what I want to talk about now really is just give a bit of an overview of what Autopilot can do. Because when I first heard of Autopilot and started working with it, it was a little bit confusing in terms of what Autopilot does and what Intune does and what the difference are. And I think we managed to summarize this really for you. So the few things to know about is ultimately what Autopilot allows you to do for people that don't know about it is it allows users to log into new devices to basically deploy them off network, or administrators as well. So a device basically can be deployed over the internet. A user can get a device, log into it with the work credentials, or an administrator can do that as well. But the crucial part is off network, and that device would be joined to Azure AD. It can be joined to your on-premise Active Directory on a hybrid join with AD and Azure AD at the same time, all by this sort of provisioning process, which is Autopilot. And then the other thing to know is Autopilot complements Intune software deployment and device configuration policies really well, because part of the Autopilot process, the user would get their software they need and the device configured as you would like it to be in your organization. So this is where I want to give a little bit more understanding around exactly what the differences are between the different components involved. So the process that a device will go through basically when it's using Autopilot is a user would boot up the device, connect it to the internet using the Wi-Fi or whatever it is they've got at home or in the office, it's regardless. And they'll be prompted to log in using their Azure AD credentials. And obviously the user would probably know them as the 365 credentials. They would log in, Autopilot would recognize that this device is a device that's scoped with the Autopilot policy, and it would join the device to Azure AD. And also, if you are using a supported VPN in your organization, it can also actually create the device in your on-premise AD and do a hybrid join, all from the net when the device isn't on the network. So that's the Autopilot component, but that alone is not, it's not a great benefit. It's a benefit, it does help, it gets the devices joined, but where it's really useful is when you use it in tandem with Intune, because what Intune allows you to do then is it recognizes the user's group membership once they've actually joined the device to Azure AD, and the device is now part of Intune. It will recognize the user's group membership and deploy software from the cloud. So it would deploy Office to the device, install that. It would deploy any sort of third-party apps that you've got set up for deployment in Intune that user is a member of. So this all sort of fits back into sort of good sort of role management. If you've got that user as part of a group for their role, and that role group is part of groups for particular software that's needing that role, then you can see how this sort of knits together for quite a nice solution for deployment for the user, so they get all the software they need without the device necessarily having to be deployed in the office or manually configured by someone in the IT team. So device configuration policies also. So once the user's got the software installed, the device configuration policies that we just showed you there previously. So for example, if you've got Office configuration or some other group policies that you want, or VPNs to be pushed out to the device, you want any sort of control panel settings, all of those then would be applied by Intune as part of the device configuration policy. And then obviously we could also check the device compliance as well. So the device compliance policy then would sort of immediately kick in and make sure that the device is meeting the standards. But obviously, if you had as part of your configuration policy things like BitLocker, all of those things would be done automatically as part of the sort of deployment for the user. And crucially, again, I know I keep saying it, but I think the big difference with all of this is off network, not on your company network, which is sort of the real big benefit to this. So that's a sort of brief overview of Autopilot. The reason we haven't showed the portal is because the crucial part about Autopilot isn't necessarily the configuration for it. Is actually really simple. There's literally 2 or 3 settings in there. There's not a great deal in there to actually configure, but it's just worth people knowing that where your real benefit comes with Autopilot is using it in tandem with Intune software deployment, device configuration, device compliance, because that's where you really sort of saving your time and giving the users what they need in their devices straight away.